Welcome back to this week's Mounting Yard preview, taking a look ahead at racing on Saturday at Caulfield for Caulfield Cup Day. Race 5 is the 1,000 Guineas Prelude, a Group 2 for the 3-year-old fillies over the 1,400 metres, and Bossy Nick had plenty of improvement to come last start, first up, so second up hoping to see her strip fitter. Oz Empress, don't be worried if you see her get quite toey and fractious in the mounting yard, very normal for her, and she did have some improvement to come in her coat last start. She was still a touch wintry. Inhibitions, your form is going to be your best guide for her. She's a horse I really struggle to read in the mounting yard. I don't think her looks have much correlation to her performance, other than the fact that she is definitely race fit deep into her preparation. Moesha, haven't seen this girl since her debut where she was quite toey, she was very wintry in the coat, and I thought she was quite physically immature. She's a little bit unbalanced. She had strength in some areas and was lacking it in others. So here fourth up, really looking to see how she's furnished and whether or not she's still toey. She did perform well on that occasion, but I'd ideally probably like to see her a little bit more of a furnished product now that she's had a couple of races under her belt. And yeah, that's it for the fillies. Race 6 is the Group 2 sprint over the 1,000 metres, and it is normal for both Lofty Strike and Generation to get warm pre-race. They're both natural free sweaters. Race 7 is the Tristark Stakes, a Group 2 for the mares over the 1,400 metres, and Skew-If is the fascinating runner here for mine. Obviously a late scratching last start at Flemington, and I'd actually laid her on that occasion. She was really toey. She was very worked up pre-race. She was shaking her head around. She was basically just having a complete and utter meltdown. Obviously, it was my first time seeing her, so I don't know if this is normal, but it was certainly not something I wanted to see from a horse having her first start in Australia from New Zealand. So really interested to see how she performs and how she parades on Saturday. Obviously a late scratching, so maybe her mannerisms had something to do with that being the reason as to why she played up at the barriers. Either way, I've got really big question marks on Skew-If and her behaviour and what her attitude's going to be like on Saturday. So that's my only word of caution with Skew-If. Walton by, very normal for her to get warm. Don't be deterred if you see her sweating up. And Say Magique, she's improved really nicely with each run this campaign. First up, she was quite big in condition, a bit dull and wintry in the coat and had stacks of improvement to come. Second up, she stripped fitter. Third up, I think she's definitely going to be at her peak now. She did have some improvement to come in her coat still, so hopefully that's nice and summery considering the beautiful warm weather we have had down here in Melbourne. And also don't be deterred if you see her quite tight in her action. She's not the best walker. Race 9 is the feature event of the day, the Group 1 Caulfield Cup over the 2,400 metres, and Gold Trip, he's come back in such sensational order, and not only has he shown that on the track, but he's also shown that in the mounting yard. He's looked cherry ripe both parades this campaign. He's been really forward in condition. He just had a lovely healthy coat on him, and he's always been a really lovely horse to assess in the mounting yard. He's a box ticker. He does everything right. He's such a professional. So here third up, there's going to be no excuses from a mounting yard point of view. Without a fight, interesting first up parade, was really toey and tense and quite fresh. 4 weeks between runs. His freshness on the day will be interesting. His attitude is definitely going to be a question mark for mine, determined on how he parades on Saturday, just because I think in this sort of field, you can't be giving away any sort of advantage. So let's hope to see him a little bit more settled pre-race. In terms of his physical condition, he was hard fit first up. He had barely any physical improvement to come, so I'm not deterred about the gap between runs. Physically, he's going to be in great order. It's just going to come down to his attitude. West Wind Blows. Physically, was a mixed bag. He was fit, he had a lovely summer coat, he had a great attitude, he was nice and relaxed for a horse that's obviously was having his first start in Australia. But he lacked a little bit of muscle definition, he wasn't moving particularly well, so hoping to see him a little bit freer in his stride and a little bit tighter in condition, hopefully with a little bit of improvement from that first up run. Solcombe, warm is okay for this horse. He's stripped fitter with every run. He's continued to improve leaps and bounds in his parade. He's at his peak now, and there's going to be no yard excuses for Solcombe. And other than that, that's pretty much a wrap. There's obviously going to be fascinating to see a lot of the internationals who are having their first starts in Australia as well. Race 10 is the Alinghi Stakes over the 1,100 metres, and hypothetical, she's a naturally very tense mare, so don't be deterred if you see her quite highly strung and coiled up in the yard. This is very normal for her. First up, she was quite big in condition. She had stacks of fitness improvement to come, so third up, hopefully she strips fitter. And that's a wrap on this week's Mounting Yard preview, taking a look at Caulfield Cup Day on Saturday. Saturday. Make sure you stay tuned to both Betfair and I's Twitter platforms, where we'll be producing the live mounting yard mail with all the crucial information that you need to know about how the horses have paraded.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.